Good afternoon, everybody. It's been a while since I did my last video. I try my best sometimes, but life sometimes makes it difficult for me to get videos done. But I do continue to do lots of journeys, and one of the journeys I've actually done recently, it was a reflection of God that I've never really truly seen in that way, is the feminine side of God. And it was extremely powerful, extremely beautiful, and very enlightening, because the earth looks at God's energy as just male. I see God's energy as light, dark, and also feminine. And to see the side of God that is feminine is extremely beautiful and loving. Extraordinarily beautiful. And it's not just the beauty of the figure, the energy that you see, it's the feeling within your own heart that is so beautiful. So I want to do a journey into the female side of God, the feminine side of God's energy, and let her share a message with you today. Just taking a deep breath. So I'm in a space and I'm spinning in one spot, and I shoot straight up, extremely fast and straight up out of the, through dimension upon dimension. I come across a very bright dimension. I spin and explode, and it's a little bit, fog isn't the right word. It's like, there's like clouds here, but there's still lots of blue sky, and the stuff is lower to the ground, and the blue sky is above, and there's a tear here. And it's interesting because a lot of the times I see God, when he appears to me, he goes through this tear. It's like a tear with like long arms that come off from it, and it's like a longer, thinner, it could be sideways, it could be like straight down with the energy coming up, or it could be vertical coming at me with the energy coming out. This time the energy is, it's interesting because it's actually flat coming out. It's this way and this way. It's like it creates, there's a bunch of tears that are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one on the ground and one above, and they're actually merging together. I usually only see one tear, but I'm seeing a whole whack of tears coming together, and they form one great big massive light that expands really quickly at me and just kind of blows things from me. It's like it goes through me and this rips stuff off of me, and I'm now just a very bright spirit, like super glowing, super bright, and all that stuff I didn't need. And that happens a lot. In order to reach or to be in God's presence, for some reason you need to let go of a lot of things, and you need to be willing to allow that stuff to go away that you no longer need. And the more willing you are to do that, the more likely you will see God or speak with God's energy, which is in every single one of us, but it's like the parts of us that we think are the most purest or the most honest, but realistically the oldest parts of us. We're speaking to the oldest parts of our soul. But in order to go there, we need to let go of certain things. And a lot of the times they will help you let go of that. There's doves that fly out, but they look like energy waves, but they look like white birds that fly straight out in energy waves that go like jets almost. And they start going from the sides, from above, and it's just shooting these things straight out. And there's a being that's coming out towards me. It's a female energy. It's a very powerful female energy. And it's like all of a sudden the go ground, the self turns into a white pillar, or white, the whole, like the ground is like a mist, and now it turns into solid, beautiful white light. And the female form, which is what she appears to me to be, but she can be in any form she wishes. That's quite obvious. But she appears to me as a very tall woman, a very long dress, but shows her bare feet, and her hair is flowing backwards, and her hands are, she does this, like kind of like this motion, and then just brings her hands, keeps her hands up like that as she walks towards me. It's like it's basically very, very non-threatening. And she just smiles at me, not even from her mouth so much as from her heart that spreads outwards in a very powerful stream. It actually brings a bit of a tear to my eye, because it's very, very deep, loving energy. And it's very beautiful energy. And she walks right up to me. And she's a lot taller than me. It's just the way she appears, but then she shrinks down. Because these gateways are massive, and she walks through them, she gets smaller and smaller and smaller the closer she gets to you. So when she's in front of you, she's the same size as you. And she's just smiling. It's like, I don't think she ever stops smiling. It's just a very beautiful energy. And she starts to walk around me, and so I just kind of follow her. And instead of me just turning and spot, I actually go and walk beside her, because that's what she wants me to do. We kind of start to walk, and then we straighten out and we start walking down the path. And it's like, I know we walked in a spiral, and then the spiral became a path that leads straight. And we're walking from the spiral straight now. And the spiral of life. When is it that we come off that spiral? When do we stop going in circles and then move forward? A lot of us get stuck in these spirals, and she shows me a person's life, and it's obviously not a straight line, but it's not that crooked either, because everywhere along she shows me these spirals of energy that we get stuck into, and it just spins, and we get stuck in these spirals for sometimes a whole lifetime. But then some people can manage to go through the spirals very easily, and others, well, they barely get through one, and some go through many. And it's like these spirals are what we need to learn in life. So what goes on in the spirals isn't as important as us learning to get out of them. Because we do have free will, so when we go through into these spirals of energy, anything can happen in a spiral of energy, but we will not get out of that spiral of energy until we choose to do the right things, to do it the right way. And you could go through the same spiral of energy over and over again and have completely different experiences, because we do have free will and we have the ability to make our own decisions. But the energy itself will not go anywhere until it's the right time, we're in the right state of mind, and we've done the things that we were meant to do. There's no judgment here. It just shows the straight lines of people's lives, and some have few, some have many, and some still only have one big spiral that they never get out of. But that either one of those, every soul is looked at as being beautiful and revered. She looks at the ground and she looks at a grain of, like a bunch of sand, because now we're on a beach. And she pulls the sand up in her hand and says, how many different rocks has this sand come from? How many souls have touched these rocks? And how many souls are in those rocks? And she takes her, she weighs her hand, and like literally is like a massive dust storm of beach sand. It's really, but it's not. I'm actually, you think it was going to burn you or hit you in the face and hurt you, but then you realize it's not. And it just, the sand is hitting you, but it passes through us and doesn't have any negative effect. Is this showing a spiral, but is using sand and show, but this is a different spiral. This is a spiral of lifetimes and generations and many lifetimes in one spiral, and that as we go through this spiral, there's many different actual spirals within that. So it's like you could have a 1,000 lifetimes in this one big spiral, and every lifetime could have 1,000 spirals, or as little as one. And then she just claps her hands together like this, and they just instantly the energy stops. And then she says, what do you do? What do you do when all things in life that you've completed? What happens when you complete everything that you're meant to do in a lifetime? Do you think that's possible? That you can complete everything in this one lifetime? What happens then? Do you enter another spiral? Or are you free to do and be what you want? Do you think it's possible to complete everything you're meant to do in one lifetime? She leaves that to you to contemplate. And if you did complete it, what would you do? What would you do when you're in a spiral? Do you even know that you're in a spiral? How do you know when you're complete of a spiral? How do you know that you enter a new one? She just asked all these questions like this. And the simple answer is none of it matters, she says. Because if you get so hung up in the fine details of life, you'll never leave your first spiral. The main lesson to learn in the first spiral is to live life every single day like it's your last. To just be at peace with everything around you and things that are happening. Allow them to flow, and sometimes those things sting. But that was also part of what you were meant to go through. You choose pain. You choose love. And sometimes the choices you make create a reality that you maybe not thought you wanted to have, but you did. And living that moments, it's how you react to them that allows you to either enter or move forward in spirals. If you do the same thing over and over again, you know you do not get a different result. It's the same result. If you walk into a wall, you will hit the wall. But what happens if you learn to phase through the wall? Well, then you do something differently. What happens if you climb over the wall, go around the wall, dig under the wall, break the wall and walk through it that way? But they are all different. And every spiral in life is different. But you're not meant to focus on that fine detail. You're meant to live and be happy and just allow the energy to flow. Because the more you let it flow, the less time you'll spend in each of the spirals. And you might find out that they're not even spirals, no longer exist. It's just a straight line to your destination. When you truly master life, you walk in a straight line. A lot of you carry burdens, so much burdens in your heart. The burdens I will gladly take away. She walks over and gives me a huge hug, and I just allow her to take whatever needs to be taken from my heart. And she gladly accepts it. And she gives you nothing but love in return. We are not meant to hold on to our burdens. We are meant to let them go. We are meant to send them back to the universe. It is so easy to hold on to the bads and the pains and the discomforts in life. We forget so quickly how easily it is to get wrapped up in anger and negativity, arguments. What should you eat? How you should live? Dress? Speak? It goes on and on and on. What is the truth? What isn't the truth? What religion is the best? Which one is the worst? How all religions are terrible and only spirituality is number one. Number one, number one, number one, number one, number one. Everything I say is the truth and nobody else knows anything. So many people do not see that sometimes focusing on things like what you should eat every single day, how you should dress every day, how you should speak, how you should talk, how you should walk, how you should think. Instead of just living life and embracing people's differences, working together. My God, what a world would be if people worked together as one family. Work together as one family. But no, we couldn't possibly treat people from a different country like we treat ourselves. We don't even treat our neighbors any good. We hide ourselves in their buildings, in our apartments, or even forgetting how to speak with one another. Have we forgotten what it is like to be a human being in a world full of people, but being by yourself in a world all alone? You are not alone. You are one people. You are one soul. You are beautiful. And when you learn to come together is when things will truly prosper and change. When life will truly be remarkable. Do not focus on things that have fear, negativity. if it has fear and negativity, it doesn't come from us. It comes from the chaos energies, not the love energies. It doesn't come from me. She opens your chest and light hits the world. The children, the babies instantly absorb the energies. There's a few people that absorb it, and as they get older, it gets less and less and less. A lot of elderly people absorb it just before they die. But there's a lot of people that will not allow the love into their hearts. They shield it. It's like if the whole world would absorb the energy, every field in the world would be full of beautiful flowers. Instead, when we don't, it's like it creates like a ugly weed that grows all over the world. It doesn't matter how many times somebody speaks the truth. People are always going to dislike it. People are always going to say bad things when people speak about love and harmony and peace in the world, because they are afraid. It's the only reason. They are lost. Because if you're full of anger, negativity, hate, frustration, if you have to belittle someone, it is you who is lost. You are lost to the truth, because belittling people, making people feel inferior, thinking that you're the only one that knows the truth and everyone else is full of lies. You're the one that is lost. If a person has a different opinion, that is beautiful. If you think your opinion is the only one that is right, you are lost. It is simple as that. The energy's getting lighter. That was a fairly quick message. I think it was a very powerful one. Thank you very much, everyone. If you wish to do a service with me, you can visit my website at www.amonrossawakening.com. And I have a passion to shoot northern lights, and you can visit my northern light page at josephbradleyauroras.com. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a good evening.